Hey guys, this is Colin from Blackjack Apprenticeship, and under these kind of unique circumstances with this COVID-19 stuff, I thought I would record a podcast and give you a little bit of an update what we've been doing at Blackjack Apprenticeship, and also talk about a few ways that you can actually increase EV while we're kind of all on pause right now. Personally, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever lived through. It seemed like this distant thing a few weeks ago or a month ago that was kind of overseas, and it's really been ramping up. And that's honestly just how exponential growth works. If you look at the data, it's doubling some points it's been doubling every 3 days, other points every couple of weeks. And you know what everybody's trying to do is basically, in EV terms, they're trying to shorten the N0 of this virus and try to get it over with quickly by having everybody stay away. But man, it's been nuts the last week. It went from life as usual a couple weeks ago. Then a week ago, they shut down my kids' schools and kind of everything where I'm at. And that's why I started thinking about having to cancel the April boot camp. You know, as of yesterday, the governor of Nevada said that they're shutting down all the casinos in Nevada. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know this stuff. But with all that in mind, I thought it's an opportunity if you're stuck at home, maybe you want something to listen to, and just kind of share what's going on with Blackjack Apprenticeship and give you guys some things to think about. So this is the first time I've ever done a podcast, just me talking. I don't really like to do that. I'd rather interview someone or sit around with some friends and talk blackjack, but thought this would be easier and faster than recording a video and maybe give me an opportunity to go a little more in depth into some of this stuff. I'm mostly recording it for our members, but we'll probably just throw it on iTunes and whoever wants to listen to it can listen to it. And I feel a little bit guilty. We haven't put a podcast out in a couple of months. Part of that's just been me taking the holidays off. And part of it is that I usually record a lot of podcasts around a boot camp, and we haven't had a boot camp since November. So I had multiple podcasts lined up for our boot camp that was going to be April 4th, 5th. But as of 2 days ago, I had to cancel that boot camp. At the time, it was kind of a difficult decision, but even in 2 days since then, it has proven to be, the right call with basically all of Vegas shutting down. So let me start off by just getting a little bit into what we've been working on at Blackjack Apprenticeship. The first thing that hopefully will be good news for you guys is that there are a lot of new videos coming soon. I've been working on both outlining and prepping for YouTube videos. So I've been doing a YouTube video a month. I might go back to doing one every 2 weeks, but right now I'm doing one a month. I know I can stick to that. And so I'm working on those. But I also am working on replacing all the videos in the video course that are older, grainy, outdated, that we recorded. Some of those videos are over 10 years old. So all those, I can't just replace them with a newer version of the same thing. I have to kind of start from scratch, just my personality, and rethink the whole idea and say what's going to be the most valuable thing to our members to share on this topic. So I'm going to start filming those as soon as tomorrow. And of course, it takes a little bit of time to get them edited and rolled out. But over the next couple of months, you should see all those new videos coming out in the members area, as well as the at least once a month video on YouTube. Maybe I'll go back to every 2 weeks. We'll see here. So that's something you guys can do while you're stuck at home, is get new training videos. But another thing is I'm going to try to get the podcast thing going again, whether I just interview people over Skype or something like that, or if I can lure someone to Seattle and maybe we sit 6 feet away from each other. I don't know. But maybe I'll just do a couple of these podcasts. I actually want to do another podcast, just me sharing some of the things I've been thinking about since the Blackjack ball. But I'm going to try to get the podcast going again. A third thing that we are looking into, since we're all kind of, away from the casinos, we can't play blackjack, most of us, but we can still talk about blackjack. So we're looking into a members chat option, see if we can just schedule some times where any members can hop on a chat room and talk shop. So that's another thing we're working on behind the scenes. A couple other things. I don't know if you guys have noticed that we've been rolling out some fixes to the training suite. So those are mostly just rolled out when we have something fixed or an update. We just push it live. I don't really announce it or anything. But some bigger things we're working on is we're getting really close to an update on the pro betting software. And the big thing with that is it's going to have a trip bankroll calculator. We already have all the numbers run. It's just kind of getting the front end to work with the actual data on the back end. One of the challenges with that is that not everybody understands card counting and trip bankrolls. So we've been working with the developers to make sure they understand it and it works right. But the idea is that if you're going to go on a trip, which you probably aren't in the next couple of weeks, but if you're going on a trip, you can figure out how much money to bring with you on that trip and keep your trip risk low. That's always been something I've done as long as I've had software that could do that. So we wanted to add that to the software. It's also going to have the next version is going to have some more robust features like seeing your house edge per true count and your variance or standard deviation per true count for people that care about that kind of stuff. And hoping to have that pushed live by the end of the month. We're also finally in bug testing mode of the Android app, and there have been about half a dozen BJA members that have been helping with that. And I wanted to thank you for playing through the buggy app that's crashing and figure out those things, because once you find the bugs, it's pretty quick and easy to fix them. I'm hoping to have the Android app push live in the next month, but I'm not going to put it out there until it's something that I can say I'm really proud of and people aren't going to be complaining about bugs in it. The last thing we've been working on kind of behind the scenes is Casino 411. So about a year ago, we started making this push to get the casino conditions updated across the country because, it can be the coolest software with a map and, all these features, but if the casino conditions aren't accurate, then it's really worthless. And about a year ago, only 20% of the casinos were up to date. Some of these casinos hadn't been updated in 6 or 7 years. Well, we've been working hard on that, and we now have over 75% of the US is accurate as far as recent casino conditions, and we're going to try to get that up even higher, like 90%. But right now, most casinos are closed. But anyway, you can check that out. If you haven't seen the new map feature, it's really cool. Just go to Casino 411 in the membership area and start with the map feature and plan out a road trip that you can go on or a part of the country you want to check out once all this virus stuff has died down. All right, so next I wanted to talk about what can you be doing as a card counter or advantage player if you can't be generating EV at the casinos. And I was talking with a friend and we were talking about a few different things that you can actually be doing to, in a sense, actually increase your EV while we're all on pause right now. So the first of those things is to train in a way that'll increase your EV. I know some of you guys aren't done training, so maybe set a goal to test out by a certain date. Maybe you thought it was going to take you 3 months to get to a point where you could test out through the training suite. Well, if you have more time than you thought you were going to have, use that to your advantage. Don't just read social media or whatever, but increase your training time through the training suite and say, hey, I want to test out in a month. Another thing you can do, let's say that you actually are a tested out player and you would be playing in the casinos right now. Well, this might be an opportunity to actually increase your edge at the casino. And I got a couple ideas, ways you can do that. One is, let's say you only use full deck divisor for your true count conversion. Well, now's an opportunity to master that nasty half deck division. It's really not that bad, but maybe you've been afraid to do that. Well, here's your opportunity to just spend some time with the true count drill in the training suite, or just with a discard tray and decks of cards to be able to divide by 6, 5.5, 5, 4.5, and so on. That's going to add, a few percentage to your EV, and why not? Another thing you could do is, instead of just knowing the top 20 deviations, if you know those, if you've got them down pat, then maybe you decide, hey, I want to learn the top 40 deviations and just add 20 more. Start with ones that are lower numbers that are going to happen more frequently, or ones that are just easy to memorize, like doubling down soft 20 against 4, 5, 6. It's actually the exact same true count numbers as splitting tens. So you double soft 20 against a 4 at a true 6, you double soft 20 against a 5 out of true 5, you double soft 20 against a 6 out of true 4. There you go. 3 more deviation numbers. So that can be a way to increase a few more percentage points to your EV just by using your time wisely right now. And one other way that, if you can do it, it's really one of the best ways to generate more EV, is just get faster. So use the test out drill or the free play mode of the training suite or iPhone app, whatever it is, and push yourself to say, okay, I can play perfectly at this many rounds per hour, but by the end of the week, I want to increase my rounds per hour by 10%. Maybe by the end of the month, you want to increase your rounds per hour by 20 or 30%. And that will absolutely translate to generating more EV in the casinos, because as a pro, I want the only thing slowing me down in a casino to be the speed of the dealer or the speed of the other players. I want to be able to play as fast as the dealer can deal and as fast as the game can go, because that's going to make me much, much more money over the long haul. I talked about this plenty of times before, but if you can play 250 or 300 rounds per hour instead of 100 rounds per hour, you're going to be generating 2.5 to 3 times as much EV, not by having to learn a harder count or more deviation numbers or anything like that, simply by playing faster. So those are a few ways you can increase EV through training while we're all on pause right now. But another thing that you can do is actually increase your knowledge base. I remember back during the first team that I was a part of with Ben and my buddy Jeff and Sammy, or even before when it was just Ben, Jeff, and I, whenever we would close a bankroll, we would take a week off. And it was actually really hard for me because I'm such a creature of habit. I just wanted to be out there generating EV, especially because my wife was working. This is pre-Netflix. I mean, I don't know. I think we maybe had dial-up internet. We didn't have cable. And, I didn't know what to do with myself, but the other guys wanted to take a week off whenever we closed a bankroll, just to have some time to chill and to decide how much they wanted to invest in the next bankroll. And at first I didn't know what to do with myself, but then I started to use those weeks off to increase my knowledge. So that's when I read Blackjack Attack for the first time. And that was, I learned quite a few things in there. And that's also when I started to learn betting software. It was called BJA060 2002, Blackjack Risk Manager 2002 was the first betting software we had. And then this other software called Statistical Blackjack Analyzer that I still wish I could use, but it doesn't work on any modern computer. But I would use that week off to learn betting software. And through that process, I learned so much more about how to maximize EV, either through deck penetration, through the rules available, through unique or creative bet spreads or large bet spreads or anything like that. And then I did the same once I got CVCX years later when we were running. People probably don't know this. We were running a $500,000 blackjack team with some pretty antique betting software. So what you guys have available now is pretty awesome compared to, we didn't have any training software. Anyway, my point is, I did the same thing with learning CV data, CVCX, and through each one of those things, I understood how to generate more EV. So maybe you can use this time to read some books on advantage play that you've thought about reading but haven't had time for. Maybe it's scouring forums, getting caught up, or learning. Maybe it's simply through networking and using this time to talk with some other people over the phone or through the forum or whatever it is. But all those things that are going to add to your knowledge base are going to help you generate more EV when you're back at the tables. And the third way I would say you could increase EV while you're on pause right now is actually just taking a break from advantage play. I've found for myself that there's two ways this is generating EV. One is when I take a break, sometimes I come back with a fresh perspective, with a little bit more, dedication to the craft. And usually I feel a little bit better after I've taken a break, like I'm actually a stronger blackjack player, or maybe my work ethic is a little harder because I've gotten some rest. Another way is there's more EV in life than just EV at the tables. My kids are at school. I'm getting to spend extra time with them. That is some of the best expected value I can generate. I've been doing some projects around the house that I've kind of wanted to do, but haven't, it's trying to squeeze it in around everything else. Well, there's a lot of stuff I can't do right now. So I'm generating EV in these other ways. And, money's just money. Maybe there's another side hustle you can look into while you have this downtime, or maybe it's just generating EV through relationships, through doing some house projects or investing in yourself, whatever you want to call it. So those are some ways you can increase EV while on pause. But there's one other thing I want to ask you guys, which is if you've been affected by this, coronavirus stuff, let me know. I've heard of a few members that are in quarantine, others that are waiting to hear back test results because they're having symptoms. And I know the vast majority of people are going to be just fine, but I also know people that do have respiratory problems. My wife has asthma, and so if she were to contract it, it would be a pretty scary thing because she gets asthma attacks. She has to use an inhaler or a nebulizer. And honestly, I don't expect everyone to care about this, but I want to be praying for and thinking about the people out there that are being affected by this. So, shoot me an email, send me a private message, and let me know. Do your best to stay safe out there and to not let this stuff give you any unnecessary fear. Just be smart. Let's lower the risk of ruin of this thing by getting it eradicated quickly and shorten the end zero of it and get back to life as usual, hopefully in a month or less. We will see. But hopefully this is helpful for you guys to know what we're working on and just some creative ideas while we're all stuck in this weird holding pattern. If you have any questions, you can reach out. Maybe I'll put together a Q&A podcast, but you can reach out through email, through the forum. I guess those are the best ways to get a hold of me because I don't really use social media very well. All right, hope you guys are doing well and you have a great rest of your week. And I will talk to you later. Keep generating EV, guys.